You heard me say this already, but joy is independent of our circumstances. So joy is not based upon what we have gone through or what we are going through, but joy is independent of our circumstance. You know, circumstances are going to come. Trials and tribulations are going to come. But here's the thing that Peter says. He says, even for a little while. Notice what he's saying about trials and tribulations. He's saying they're temporary. If trials and tribulations can overcome the inheritance that God has given us, then he failed with the inheritance that he's given us. But he's saying for a little while. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that trials and tribulations have an expiration date. Every last one of them. Somebody needed to know that today. Somebody needed to hear it. I don't know if it was you or not, but somebody needed to know that trials and tribulations have an expiration date. They do not last forever. They cannot last forever. They will not last forever. Yes, they hurt during the duration. Yes, they are inconvenience. Yes, they are thorn in your side, but they do not last forever. The one thing that every single trial has in common is an expiration date. Baby, your trial might not be like my trial, and his trial might not be like her trial, but all of our trials got one thing in common. They got an expiration date. And I might not know when that expiration date is, but I promise you this, they will expire because God has set an expiration date on it. That ought to bring somebody some joy right now. And now you begin to understand what the scripture says. Weeping may endure for a night. Now you begin to understand what he's saying. He's saying there's an expiration date on this thing. Weeping might endure for a night, but at some point, weeping's got to go because joy is coming in to push the weeping out. Your trial might not be like my trial. Your trial might be different than my trial, but all our trials, every last trial in here, got one thing in common. Every last one of them has got an expiration date. Somebody, I don't know who it is, somebody needed that to stir in their hearts today because you've been going through a trial and you've been looking at your watch. You've been looking at your watch and how long, God, how long? And he said, not long, baby, not long. How long, how long? I'm right here with you. I have entered in sympathetically into your sorrow. And my abundant mercy is present for you even right now. How long, how long? Not long. I've got an expiration date. Just keep moving forward. There's an expiration date. All trials got the one thing in common, an expiration date. And baby, when that day comes, when that expiration date comes, can't nothing move it backwards or forwards. Nobody can change the circumstances. God has said this is where it stops and nowhere further. But the trial of this life brings us to a point where at some time or another, we're going to have to stand before the Holy Host in order to find out whether or not our name has been reserved and is on the list. And if your name is on the list, you get to step out of corruption into incorruptibility. And you begin to walk in your inheritance because God has already given you this inheritance which will not fade away. What does that mean? I can walk in the assurance of the promise that God has already made because God is faithful to keep that which he has said. So therefore, I need to walk like somebody who's got something because I've got somebody who's given me something.